Hello again, everyone. This is Ziff Sistrunk, and we are live with Can TV. And I am not a young person, so I don't need this tag on. Let's do this thing. Hello again, everyone. This is Ziff Sistrunk. We are live at Can TV. Got a special guest, and we got a caller coming in immediately. Station. We usually start off. I want to introduce my guest in a minute, but let's show him what we do when we start off the show. I should properly say, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Mr. Todd, Jonathan Todd.
Thank you.
Do it the right way, Ziff. We got a caller. Let's get Mr.
Diber.
Okay, can we Mr. Diber, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, now you got to be quiet for a minute, because there's something we always do before the show. How do you tell the governor to be quiet?
Yeah, you just did.
Do me a favor. We always have a moment. I'm so excited about the show. I'm breaking with protocol. We always have a moment of silence, Mr. Governor and Lieutenant Governor, for people who have lost their lives to violence in the city, state, and county. So we'll have a moment of silence, if it's okay, please. And we thank you. Boy, I tell you, I am excited today. Look who we have in our guest today and his running mate. Wow. Mr.
Right.
Jonathan Todd. Todd,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Todd. Now, Bob, are you on Mr. Diber? Are you on the air? Are you with us?
Yes, I am.
I want to hold you for a minute, and I want to say hello to Mr. Todd, and I want Mr. Todd to tell us something about who you are, and why did Bob pick you? He could have picked thousands of people in the state of Illinois. He came way to the west side, and he picked the west side. Never has a west sider been, by the way, a governor or lieutenant governor, but he picked you.
Correct. So my name is Jonathan Todd, and I'm a lifelong member, resident of Chicago West Side, but also of city of Chicago, and I traveled throughout this city and state and seen virtually the same thing. I met Mr. Diber back sometime early on in his campaign, and his campaign drawed me to be a little bit different. He was saying the messages and the things that needed to be said with some truth in it. So I thought about that and bringing truth back into politics. I think we have taken all the truth back out of politics. As well as, why did Mr. Diber pick me? I think you have to ask him. But I also can say this about our campaign. It's a little bit unconventional.
There's no question about it.
Right? You got a downstate Democrat, and you got a guy like me from Chicago West Side, right? But I think we're facing unconventional times. And in these unconventional times, we need unconventional solutions. Mr. Diber has been superintendent downstate schools. Mr. Diber has also worked in city government and held many elected officers throughout the county and downstate.
Well, let's do this here.
Yes,
because I see that, Mr. Bob, you got a great spokesman here for you. You had a great lieutenant governor. First of all, let me say hello to Bob. I blow your name, but I'm going to get it right. Diber.
You got it.
How are you, Bob?
I'm great.
What was it like today? How are things for you today? What was your day like today?
Well, it was like every day. It was busy. We are just hustling, getting signatures to get on the ballot, and we have a major campaign going on statewide. It's called Help Bob Get on the Ballot.
Help Bob Get on the Ballot. Wow.
So we're advertising on Facebook, and we developed about 3 new Facebook ads today to market, and we also, just continued to be on the phone today, reaching out to grassroots supporters, soliciting these petitions all over the state of Illinois. So every day until November 27th, our key mission in our campaign is to secure the needed good signatures to place ourselves on the ballot for working class people of the state.
Bob, we're looking at some of your Halloween. I see you celebrated Halloween too. Bob, we're looking at, and we have your running mate here. We're looking at some of your work. Let me ask you something. We see a picture of you there. Who is this guy, Bob Diber? Who is he? We've heard you in passing. We've seen some stuff on you on television, but nobody, you don't have the millions that Pritzker has or that Kennedy has. Who are you?
Well, early in this campaign, I said they would all spend a lot of money to try to be like me. And I think as people watch this campaign, I'm an everyday guy. I'm a guy who has served in local government for 22 years, spent 38 years in public education, doing public service, helping kids, and for the last 10, really focused my efforts on helping at-risk youth. I'm married. My wife and I have been married 25 years. In fact, our anniversary is coming up November 14th, which will be a special day. We have 2 growing boys, both in college, so we understand the high price of higher education today. We're homeowners in southwestern Illinois. We reside in Madison County. And, I'm a 4th-generation Illinois resident. I'm not someone new here, and I'm not somebody that's going to be here for a short time and leave. My family's been here from the pioneer days, and we've remained here. I come from a farm family. We still own a family farm in Madison County.
What do you guys grow down there, or what do you breed? If that's the right word.
We grow corn, soybeans, and wheat, and we grow some hay. And so we are vested owners in the state of Illinois. And that led me with my public service to really think about whether or not I should enter this race for governor. And I believe that an everyday guy that understands government can best serve the people as the next governor of the state.
Well,
and that's also why I picked Jonathan Todd to be my running mate, because Jonathan comes from a part of the city that's never had a lieutenant governor candidate ever selected from there.
So is that the reason you picked him, because of that one reason?
That wasn't the only reason. I think Jonathan, just like myself, has a working knowledge of the issues that are at stake in this state and in the city of Chicago. So I'm not from Chicago, so I want a running mate that truly understands a neighborhood like Austin, that understands the people who live there, that can speak to them, that can relate to them, and that if we're successful, can go back and help improve not just that neighborhood, but all neighborhoods in Chicago.
So on election day, Mr. Todd, why should the people on the west side, I know you're a west side, I know he's come 100 miles to pick you, but why should they pick this team? Why this team?
Why
this is not the only team that has a African American and a Caucasian that's out there.
I think one of the interesting things about this team is that we're common men that can speak to common everyday issues of this state. One of the key things is that whether you look on the west side, whether you look on the south side, or you take East Moreland or East St. Louis or Cairo or Kankakee, we face the same issues. Our issues is that we are selling our state to the highest bidder.
Wow.
And we're in the process of trying to do it again. We have had career politicians, and you see where it has gotten us. And we also had millionaires, and you see where that has gotten us. Why can't we have someone or a team of individuals that speak for individuals like you and I, homeowners, people with families, people that work a job?
Let's do this. Bob, are you still with us, Bob?
I sure am.
Bob, someone wants to talk to you. Caller, are you there? Caller?
Yes, I am.
You have Mr. Todd, you have Bob, the candidate for governor, and you say what?
Every week. The thing is, when the next lieutenant governor of this great state of ours gets into office, I want to know one thing. Is he going to fight for the people? Because everybody says they are, and none of them do.
Okay, let's let Bob answer and Mr. Todd answer. Bob, he say, are you going to fight for him?
Well, that's why we are running. We are running in this campaign to help people who are struggling. And, both Jonathan and I come from working class backgrounds and understand what it is, to do without and to not have everything. So, if you've lived that lifestyle, and you know what it is to make ends meet, as is so said about paying your bills and trying to have a little bit extra cash to do some other things, and that's what everybody quests for. And when I think the caller asked if we're going to fight for them, we're going to fight to try to bring jobs to neighborhoods that don't have jobs. We're going to work on providing health care and to people who don't have health care, and we are going to make sure that our neighborhoods have good quality schools.
Absolutely. How is the schools on the west side, and how will your administration, I hate using that term, my English teacher is going berserk right now, but how will it be, how will this administration be different than other administrations when it comes to the west side?
I think when you have an individual like myself and like Mr. Diber that really understands the plight of the common man, understand that what it means to have kids in the school system and what it means to understand that the school system's not great. So we have to reinvest into our people. It's reinvesting in human capital. That's the only way we're going to change the outlook of this city. That's the only way we're going to change the outlook of each city throughout this state, is reinvest in human capital. I think one of the key things that when I become a lieutenant governor is that I will have a plan, a small business plan for throughout the state to re-innovate and rejuvenize small businesses, to bring in communities back. That's the key. And with that, we can change crime, jobs, education. These key things that we can do when we start reinvesting into the people of Illinois.
Reinvesting in the people of Illinois. Bob, are you there?
Sure am.
You have another caller. You all are here with the next governor of the state of Illinois, Bob Diber.
Yes.
Diver.
I was going to make an example of what I said. Listen, downtown there's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of construction going on right now. 50 cranes, 70 cranes down there, and not one African American, not one Hispanic crane is down there. All the other people except us. And that's why and they talk about us getting jobs. How are we going to get the jobs when we don't own anything? So I want the next lieutenant governor of Illinois to please tell the people we need jobs here, and that the only way we're going to get them is if we got fighters like him, because downtown we don't have any fighters right now.
Bob, do you have a job program that you're going to be implementing once you're the governor of the state of Illinois?
Well, yes, we do. And, I hear what the gentleman says, and I have met with a couple of different ward aldermen, especially that are concerned about the same thing that he called in on. And, there's some real questioning about the fair contracting, the number of African Americans, the number of Latinos that are actually getting infrastructure work. And, this will be one of our priorities to make sure that individuals, especially in the communities where the work is taking place, that they have a fair opportunity to seek that work.
Right.
Well, how will an African American on the ticket, will that bring more voters out? Or what's your strategy of getting the African? Bob, we're going to talk. I want to get your opinion too. What's the strategy, Bob? Are you got one total strategy, or you're depending on this guy that was carried the west side, you carry the south? What is your strategy, Mr. Todd? Do you have one?
We do have a strategy. First of all, we do have a strategy. And
I don't expect for you to tell it.
And it wouldn't be a strategy if we told you, right?
You're right about that.
But one of the things I think is critical is that we got to get people excited about voting. If you look at the turnout in the communities and throughout the state, we having the lowest voter turnout there is. So again, with this ticket, people can be excited. People can be excited to say, you know what? Those guys just like me, and they can make some difference. I can believe in them because they do understand. you know, not born with a silver spoon in our mouths, and you know, we know the plight of the state. With Bob, he holds a great, you know, ideal and understanding of what it means to be a downstate Democrat. You know, he understands farming, he understands tech, he understands education. You know, I think those are key issues that to move this state forward. I think we'll make a strong showing, and when we come back again, you'll be talking to the next lieutenant governor of the state of Illinois.
Bob, he said you have a plan, Bob. What's the plan, Bob?
Here's something that I think is important, and I want to compliment on something that Jonathan said, and something that the caller previously said, in that he said, you know, candidate after candidate says this, but they don't follow through on it. And I think that something that's unique about our candidacy, both myself and Jonathan, is we come from a different walk of life. And until you have walked in the shoes of someone who's struggling, and until you have worked a regular job, and you've been that worker, and I'm not talking about just for you know, an experience, maybe 6 months. I'm talking about that when you've done it for 25, 30 years. You understand,
Bob?
what the call.
I better get my glasses out so I can stick to the script here.
Bob?
Yes.
Can you engage me for a minute? Let's hear your opening announcement, and let's hear what you had, about 30 seconds of it. Let's hear what you had to say to the people of Illinois when you made the announcement. Is it okay with you?
Sure.
Let's see what you had to say.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Manny Jackson Center for Humanities. This center represents the ideal of equality, and we celebrate that today on two accounts. The birthday of Abraham.
To remember. Thank you all for coming today. Today, my family and I embrace the greatest race of my political career. And this announcement is to declare my candidacy to become governor of the state of Illinois. The great state of Illinois. Illinois is a great state, but it's not talked about anymore because its budget problems overshadow all of its greatness. But I want to point out some things to you that I want you always to remember, is that this very area that you're at is becoming the logistics capital of the United States at the intersection of 111 and 270. I want you to remember from this day forward that Madison County is becoming the home of high-speed rail in the United States.
Bob?
Yes.
You were talking about high-speed rails. What is the future of transportation here in the state of Illinois, and how will you enhance that?
Well, as I said, Madison County's station at Alton was the first link in the Midwest. It connected Alton and Chicago with higher speed rail. I think we really should define it, which makes a quick connection, and I'm for expanding that throughout the Midwest. And as governor, that will be a major initiative of mine. You know, we are in the 21st century, and we are in the heartland of America where Illinois is. And you can go to every major developing or developed country in the world, and they have high-speed rail, but when you come to America, you don't have it. And I think the transportation project that was approved and that's been completed from Alton to Chicago becomes be a model for the rest of the country to look at, to increase rail speed, and for us to move to a transportation system for the 21st century. And as governor, I'll promote that.
Okay, let's hear a little bit more of your announcement, Bob, if it's okay.
Okay.
Linking Alton and Chicago. See, Mayor Hex is in the crowd that made that begin. I want you to realize that Illinois is surrounded by more fresh water than any state in the Union, with water on 3 sides of it. And within 20 miles of here is the America Central Port that Chairman Dunstan helped bring to this part of the state of Illinois. I want you to know that 18 miles south of here in St. Clair County is the home of Transcom for the United States Air Force that coordinates the transportation throughout the whole world for the United States Air Force. And this state has some of the most fertile soil on the whole planet Earth that produces an abundance of corn and soybeans, which generates the biggest business in the state of Illinois, and that's agriculture, which I've been part of my entire life.
Bob,
Yes.
agriculture. What's the future here in the state of Illinois?
It will remain the leading industry in the state because it's the most abundant resource the state has, generates the most per capita dollar of any industry. It's the basis of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. There's agribusiness streamed through from Cook County down to the southern tip of all sorts of retail sale businesses that relate to agriculture, and it's just our mega business as the state because of the resources that we have, and I cannot see that changing, and we have to be sensitive that we continue to expand the markets in the state because of all the jobs that are centered around agriculture. And I am sensitive to that, and I will continue to work on that and promote that as governor.
Bob, one of the, and Mr. Todd, one of the candidates today announced a criminal justice reform today. What's your criminal justice plan?
Bob?
Jonathan, you want to take that, or you want me to talk about that?
You can go ahead and then I go after you.
You go, Bob.
Well, the one thing that we have to do, and I've been part of a lot of these conversations with other candidates, and there's a lot of agreement that minor offenders on minor drug offenses, we need to look at justice reform. We also need to look at, what we can do for expungement of people who have served their time and are back, now trying to seek employment, and how we can help individuals get on with life. We also need to look at juvenile justice in this state, and work with the Juvenile Justice Commission on how we prosecute young people before they are convicted and how they attain a record. And for that very reason, it's why I have ran a regional safe school for the last 10 years in trying to avoid incarceration of some young people who definitely would be there if they didn't have those opportunities. But first and foremost, we have to review the prison sentences that are being issued to minor offenders, and whether or not we really need to do that because of prison overcrowding.
But Bob, when they call you a dark horse, I tend to disagree with them, of course. Excuse me. I got to stay serious with you, Bob. But you're the dark horse in this one. How can you be a dark horse, Bob? You're the dark horse, but you are the dark horse.
Well,
That's a joke.
we're looking that way because I think it's all about money. And, they're trying to wonder how this guy is going to come from the back of the pack and win this race. And how it's going to happen is as people start to make a decision, and the seriousness of this race begins on January 2nd, when you're going to see a whole lot more advertising that are going to take place by all campaigns, including ours, and people are going to start saying, "Oh, well, what about this other guy?" Mm-hmm. And because 42% of the voters right now are undecided in this race.
42% of the voters?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what Ask America poll showed.
Now listen. We got a picture of you up. It says Illinois gubernatorial candidate Bob Dauber doesn't have the wealth or name recognition of Chris Kennedy, but he says he can help harvest potential Democratic voters downstate. You're saying that the dynamics downstate is going to be different from upstate?
Well, what I said was that it's no big secret. South of I-80, a lot of the voters last fall went for Donald Trump.
Great.
And in 2014, they were the people who had elected Bruce Rauner.
Good. Bob, let me jump in. We're out of time. We're going to do this. If Mr. Todd and you could join us next week, I think this is worthy of carrying it on. I don't know what your schedule is, but this is so serious. We're going to be going with the show is, we're wrapping up. Bob, let's see, can we continue this for part 2 tomorrow? Because I want to know about your family life. I'm interested in your family life. And Mr. Todd, we thank you. And thank the wife for coming out too. My mom always said, if a task is once begun, never leave it till it's done. Bob, Diver. I'll get it together by March 18th. And Jonathan Todd, that's the ticket to vote for. And we'll see you next week. We're going to try to get them back. So you all pray for me and pray with them that they can come back next week. We need to finish this conversation. Bob, we thank you. Hopefully we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, guys. And good night.